a city has been found off the coast of somewhere, and it really shouldn't be there. So, what better thing to do than to send an expedition into its depths at much risk to their own lives? I have gotten this zone briefing kind of drafted up. Not final. None of this is final. And I thought I would just record the process of working through the basics of setting up a mod. So yeah, I have the zone reference up, which is over at guide.thezonerpg.com. And you can, all of this is linked from thezonerpg.com. And yeah, so I'm just kind of going to start. First of all the content for the zone lives in a spreadsheet. And so I'm going to make a copy of that spreadsheet. All right, making a copy. Now we wait. All right, we've got our copy. We are golden. So let's do the first thing. I'm just going to rename this. Let's see, base content. Let's call it Maelstrom. That's what we call it. And the spreadsheet has some instructions on the front, just so you can always find your way back to all the instructions. But the first thing I want to do is I want to go and name my mod. So Maelstrom. Add a quick description. This is a sub-aquatic twist on the zone where you explore a mysterious deep sea city that should not exist as your oxygen runs down. And then, yep, that's me. Still me. Could be you. And yeah, so let's start. First of all, we'll call it the Maelstrom. The campfire. I haven't decided what to call the campfire. I have this rough idea here where it feels kind of weird to have a campfire underneath, but I found this pretty evocative image on Unsplash, which I could kind of imagine being this kind of this weird room where there is enough air to breathe. And so what I'm gonna try to do, I don't know what to call it, but I'm thinking I'll make that the place where you kind of hang out. The moment that would be the campfire. What should we call this? Start with just something basic. Let's not overthink this. The respite. And no, the breather feels right. And then the center, I'm perfectly happy calling it the center, but just for shits, let's call it the drain. Now, the welcome text. That is, so let me jump into the game, and I can kind of show you where everything this shows up. So that was step one, by the way. Step two of the instructions, I can just do this now, just gonna follow the instructions, was to change it to anyone with a link, to change those permissions. If you don't do this, then just as you sent the link to can see it, the zone won't be able to see it, so it won't be able to load up your mod or to make tweaks stage. But I will also create a game so that you can kind of follow along. Actually, you know what? I'll follow these. Let's just follow the instructions. Let's just follow the instruction. I've made some tweaks. I followed this instruction. And here at load your mod, I'll just do this, you can see. So I come here, I create a new game. Loads up. And there's a button here that says put a mod. So let's do that. Click over here. I select the URL. You can also, come here and click copy link. Same thing. And I paste it here. And we should see it go from no mod loaded, so I click load mod, to Maelstrom. Sick. By the way, it will be loaded now. This game, Operation Electric Prism, will always be this. So if I, close the page, I reload the page, there it is. Nice. All right. So what are we going to do first? So if you haven't played the zone yet, I'll just quickly walk you through it. So this will be probably what you end up doing when you start experimenting. But you start with this intro screen. You can't really customize anything here. Then at the beginning of the game, you've got this intro text. You can customize this. That's this. But like we can actually do this. Goalless games tell weird, magical, realist horror story of mutation, self-discovery. 1,000 feet below the surface of the ocean. Just a small tweak. So now I go back to the lobby of the game. And by the way, what I'm going to do, I always do this, just open a second tab. I can just be in the game. And that way I don't have to like constantly go back and forth. So I hit load mod. And there we go. Actually, you can see it right here in the little preview. So the next thing that you would have, it resets at the beginning whenever you load, by the way, is the briefing. And then you have this kind of explanation of the rules. You can do that now, but if your mod really wants a custom rule, I can actually expose any part of this. So just let me know. Then you have more rules explanation. You'll notice it's already pulled in the language that I used, so the Maelstrom instead of the zone. If I rename these locations, it'll change this text here. And there you go, the drain is the middle, the drain. So these rules update automatically, which is awesome. Then you have the safety stuff, which again is fixed. Let me know if you want to add anything or tweak anything here. The level set, and then the characters. Totally editable, by the way. I'm actually not going to have to edit them for this because this is supposed to be just a little bit of a twist. You could imagine changing all of these. Again, just for the purposes of quickly kind of getting set up, just fill this out with some absolute nonsense and into the game. Bug I need to fix. So yeah, so this is really where kind of the bulk of the editing is going to happen. So here's a few things that I do normally when I'm editing. So the first thing that I always do is, well, actually, let's go back here. I turn off the tutorials because otherwise they kind of get in the way. When you do that, it also resets the game, by the way. But secret trick, that's what I wanted to make sure y'all knew. You can edit around. You can, instead of going through every single page each time, and just jump to wherever you want to go in the game. Now, if you are wondering where in the game you currently are, this will always be this checked one. So this is all the rules, and then this is the game itself. In the back end, the game is basically, imagine almost like a series of slides. Each slide triggers some logic, which is a part of the game. So now if I want to jump back to that first scene to see kind of what it looks like as I customize it, I can do that. So let's just keep going a little bit. So I want to add my fancy thing. So I'm not going to need to worry about this, but you'll notice these double bracket things. This is a way to always make sure that the uses the variables that are set here. Not all these are exposed. There's a list and documentation. But for example, if I put in, square brackets, boundary name, and same thing on the other side, then this will get replaced with whatever I call the boundary right up here. So honestly, you don't really need to worry about this at the beginning, but it's kind of handy if you're changing a bunch of stuff. And then the rest of it is just markdown. So if you know markdown, you can use this kind of formatting. Just gonna bold it, this will italicize it. So yeah, let's just switch it out. A little bit worried this will be too long, but I guess we'll see. Cool. So go back to my lobby, load the mod, and there's my briefing. I'm probably going to end up editing it down a little bit, but for now, this looks great. Now we get to build out the basics. Mostly, we've added the briefing. Let's just mess around with some colors. So what I really want to get to here is a kind of aquatic theme. So The first thing is I've been a big fan of that kind of super bright yellow that still is visible even when you go pretty deep underwater, but it takes on that kind of acid kind of tint. So let's see if we can get to that. So the primary color is kind of where we start. The primary color is kind of like the primary brand color of your game, if you will. It's in, so you can see already it's looking a little bit better. And then the light is, if you, I'll show you by kind of jumping over to further into the game, but dark is for all of these dark colored backgrounds. It was also for the full background of the page at the beginning and the darkness of this card. Then light is for these white or light parts of the user interface. So for example, if I want to see if I change these, then that's what happens. So let's see, how should we do this here? I think I'm going to start by looking at the tint of the whole board. So that's this thing here, because I figure that the biggest impact on the visual look here is by giving it a kind of undersea cast. So we'll do that here. Okay. Kind of cool looking. I can play around with some different blend modes even, just to see what the right one is to get the effect that I want. They all kind of do their own thing. I always just experiment a little bit. I think hard light feels pretty good. So let's find the right kind of ocean tone. Feels pretty good. Can even tweak the cards themselves to have a bit more of a tint, which feels right. So I'm going to give them this a little bit of a contrasty, like greenish blue thing. Create a little bit of variation. I'll beat it over the head. So I'll do something a little bit more subtle. By the way, white here is no tint. Black is just maximum tint. So yeah, let's give it a little bit, kind of greenish blue. And I think the most important color are these particles that float around. So in the main game, they're supposed to be these almost like energetic, kind of radioactive dust. But underwater, obviously, they're going to be very different. So let's go for kind of purplish. Like I'm thinking, the end of the abyss, right? When blue, it's even this kind of purplish kind of vibe. What I wanted to feel like is that there's almost this like slight gradient of colors, the kind that you feel on the coral reef or something like that. And then the cursor here feels like I want it to feel like a piece of like diving equipment. So let's go over this kind of acrid yellow. Yeah. Again, back to that. This is a piece of like industrial equipment that's look good at the bottom of the ocean. Now, do I want to customize these colors? Yeah, I kind of do, but I'm not sure exactly how. Just experimenting here. I feel like maybe something kind of contrasty. Yeah, that feels right. You'll notice another thing too is check out this text here. It's designed so that it will try to contrast with the color that you have, so you don't need to worry about it too much. There are some colors that don't always work super well, but I think this is pretty good. Okay. Yeah, I think kind of Subnautica type vibes going on here. Now in this case, I'm making the primary color very similar to the brand color, and I'm generally fine with that. And then the dark background, let's just give that a little bit of an underwater cast, just subtle. Still want it to be dark. There we go. Again, not trying to overdo it here. You can even change the color of the contrast text. So it's something to do carefully. So the game, whenever you're selecting a color, it'll look at whether the white or the black text would have the most contrast with it. So if you change these, then you're changing the color that it will choose to put in. So if you change this, then it should really be quite light because it's supposed, what the game is thinking is, oh, dark background, I'm going to put some white text. So if you make that like a kind of a darkish color, then it'll break everything. But you can see here, I'm going to stick with my theme. I'm going to pick this kind of bright yellowish thing. Really just give everything the feeling of being just user interface and some underwater equipment. And that feels like a theme to me. I check it in a couple of other places, so let's check it in the briefing. Yeah, that's exactly what I was going for. You can check it in the character intro. Yep, looking okay. Wonder if it would look better if these yellows were just the same instead of being kind of similar but different. Yeah, that's all right. And I'm also gonna check it. I don't know, let's jump to the center. How's that looking? Enter the drain. There we go, yeah. The zone tint is the color that the game goes after you die, by the way. So you want to change that too. In fact, maybe we should. Actually, no, it feels, I'll make it a little bit more purple, but kind of already feels kind of right this way. Okay, so how do I get this into my file? So there's copy theme to clipboard. And what that does, it copies this to it copies the names of the colors and the colors themselves. So if I go down here, hit paste, will completely mess up because it's comma separated. You have to go split text to columns and bam, put it in the right place. They're in the same order as this export. It's designed to be copyable. Copy colors to clipboard, by the way, just copies the colors. So you can just do this. So if now I reload the game, these changes are all local. If I were just to reload, they would go away. But now if I hit load the mod again after pasting it in, then give it a sec, and we're good. And this is another cool thing, by the way. So I designed this preview so that you could also use it to mess with the colors. So it can actually be kind of nice to just come here and change the colors all in the same place. It's kind of helpful, actually. Gives you a simple place to go where you can see how they will play on the different UIs. I could spend however just just messing with these. The conundrum. We will leave it like this for now. Tell me what you think, or even tweak it, make it better. Send me your better version. So now let's look at that campfire. So to me, it feels a little bit weird that you would hit a campfire in the middle of the zone. So what I want to do is I want to try changing this. So here's how I'm going to do that. So the first thing is, just as a reference, just take a quick screenshot here. And because I want to make sure that my replacement image goes in the right place. So there we go. All of the art in the zone, the frame of the game is 1280 by 900. So what I can do is just lay this on here just to see that I've got the right sized stuff. All right. All right, so I need this thing to kind of go here. Great, it's in the perfect spot. So I'm going to give this a name. Zone Maelstrom Campfire. And I'm going to export from Figma. You definitely don't have to use Figma. Let's do it. Actually, I'm going to export a JPEG because I think that'll be smaller. A little bit of premature optimization for you. Okay. Now, you can host this anywhere. I've had some success with ImageBox. It's just a really simple tool that you can use to upload images. Family safe. Comments, yeah, who cares? Doesn't need to be in a gallery. Once you upload this, you can't really change it again. It's just there forever. I think they own it. I don't really know. I can't vouch for it too much, but what I can say is that it's a nice way to quickly host an image. Open an image in a new tab, copy the link, and now go down to background images, and in the campfire, just change the campfire image. So now I totally loaded this in 2 tabs. The mod again, and when it has loaded, let's go back to campfire and see what it looks like. Love it. It's gonna need I think a couple of tweaks just to get it in exactly the right spot, but it's getting the idea across. That reminds me, there's a little bug I need to fix. Because I customized the image, it should now not be showing this boundary. It should just be showing the campfire. But not too stressed about that. I think this is pretty good so far. Now, if I wanted to tweak this, for example, it looks like it's wants to be a little bit closer to the middle, maybe even a little bit smaller. Although it's hard to know. No, I think it'll be fine. Then I simply re-export it. I'll just overwrite the previous version because I don't care. Go back to image box. And I'm going to upload the image again. Do. And the image address. Check that that's working. Yep. Upload the image again. And then reload the game. See, the iteration cycle is just pretty fast. Okay, I think the image is now nicely centered. How evocative. I'm gonna change the text in the campfire as well. You found a mysterious pocket of breathable air. A blessing. Unexpected. Awesome. And again, like check it out. The game automatically inserted the name of the Maelstrom instead of the name of the zone. So where would I take it from here? The most important thing probably here is going to be checking the locations to make sure that they make sense. Because I don't think every single location is going to work here. I've really centered the game on being about this mysterious city. And I think the swamp and the caverns just immediately don't make sense. All of the other things I think can work pretty well. And even some of the stuff like vibrant green overgrowth, I might want to make a couple of tweaks, like call this, vibrant, multicolored coral. But the point of this mod is to show how the exact same location cards can be twisted. And because it's a surrealist game, it actually doesn't have to all make sense, which is great. That said, I think it's just not going to make a lot of sense on this one. So there's a couple of things I can do here. So first of all, if you put a hash in front of the table, that's immediately not going to, should I do, I put it here. The key is so that this first column, the key has to always have a unique name. And in this case, it's computing the name from the kind of nicely formatted name here, just to be more convenient. And whenever you put a pound in front of the first cell in a row, it makes it not important. So that's one way to exclude these. The other way is because I'm happy for any of these more like industrial or human settings to show up, I can go to the setup. Let's see, I'm good with, yeah, cemetery, school, all that stuff feels good to me. So really all I want to not show up are these kind of wild things. So town, industry, and city category are good. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come in here And I'm going to set this location types to city, town, and industry. City, town, industry. Great. What that should do, it'll only pick location cards from that list. However, I'm probably going to add a couple of locations or more suited to this, but for now, I'm not going to do that. The other thing I'm going to want to change is the first. I want this to be the. Am I spelling that right? I don't think I am. Aha, ready to see. Which is the ship that you begin on. So I'll make some tweaks to that. I'll probably have a version that's something like, a rusted. Oh yeah, a rusted freighter, long since converted, urgently converted into a scientific vessel, urgently requisitioned, converted into a mission platform. I'll tweak all of these later, but it's kind of, this is just about getting the idea across. You're a top of the line scientific vessel, gleaming with the latest observation and measurement equipment, high tech UVs. And then probably for the first one, I'll make it something like a rugged military used to observing enemies, but appropriately equipped for entering the unknown. Appropriately. So why not? Conveniently, the boundary stuff kind of works into the Maelstrom. We'll tweak that. Yep, the boundary itself is invisible, but its presence is clearly felt in its effect on the environment and creatures it intersects. And the boundary is psychological. All of that works. A halocline. Let's give it a cool name, because why not? So I would go through all these and make some more tweaks, but I think what we've got here is we've got something pretty workable. And I could also change other stuff. I mean, I'd expect the not so easy cards to basically work. I'd expect the scenes to generally work. They're designed to work for any kind of, weird surrealist mutational story. The character stuff, it might make sense to customize it a little bit so that they have more of a relationship with the water, the ocean. So, for example, the soldier, maybe it makes sense for the soldier to serve 20 proud years in the Navy, right? Little tweaks, little tweaks. One of the vibes I'm hoping to go for with this mod framework, by the way, is that it doesn't always have to feel like you're making a whole brand new game. It could be just, hey, you're the facilitator, your friends are coming over in a couple hours, and you want to make some tweaks just to make it feel like something that your group just it is going to be is speaking even more to your group. So I know some groups like to take the same characters from different worlds that they've been in and keep playing. I also know that many of you are, accomplished GMs. And so you might want to inject your own creativity into this and have the game support you instead of having to kind of verbally override things that are happening. Or maybe there's like a card you just don't like. Or maybe you just want to make the places have the names of your childhood homes. Whatever you want to do. That's kind of the point. So I've now been customizing for half an hour or so. And let's also change. Let's forget what this is called. It's called the, let's see, spiral emoji. Cyclone. Here we go. Let's change the emote to a cyclone. Because why not? Something I'm thinking of adding, by the way, is a way to control the locations a little bit more, because I think this would be a really good setting where you want the first couple locations to be on the way to the city, for example, but you don't want that to show up later. Either way, I'm not going to worry about that too much. Let's do one final load mod, and I'll show you how to check that this all went the way that you wanted it to. So below the preview of the game, you can see a preview of everything that got loaded in. So you can see already the Eurydice, all my changes got put in, the halocline, great. It did load the forest, but if my setting is correct, it should be excluding it from the list. But you'll notice, for example, that it did not load the swamp. Is the swamp in there? No swamp. Great. So it loaded it, but it's not going to use it because of the setting that I had in the setup. Still a type point, but recording this tutorial, I'm like, great, I found 3 bugs that I'm gonna go fix. This is one of them. I wanted to be more obvious that this thing is get used. And the same thing with the characters, right? Search for any privateers in the Navy. There's the tweak. So now you're kind of good, you know? You can just start playing, and we're now experiencing a totally different story, and it's going to be really its own thing. So that's it. You know, that's all it takes really to mod the zone. I have been streaming for about 40 minutes, and I have a whole mod that's basically just up and running um, with all the tweaks that I made. And I'm going to spend a little bit more time tweaking it, but you know, that's all it takes. That's really exciting, actually. There you go, the Eurydice, a rusted freighter urgently requisitioned and converted into a mission platform. Check out campfire. Yeah, that looks more aligned. Yeah, there you go. Please let me know what you think. I'm really excited about this. And if you're making something and you notice a bug or you want a feature to get added, or oh, I wish I could edit this piece of text, can you please help me do that? I would be glad to. Thanks, y'all. And yeah, Raph signing off.